Thank you.
Okay. Should we start, Prabhuji?
Yes, sir.
Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanshcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna, it's a great fortune to be amongst all of you. So I think in the whole group, I maybe only be acquainted with His Grace Ram Rajya Prabhuji, but I may not be acquainted with all. So His Grace Ram Rajya Prabhuji, if you can just, I'll be very happy to know about the exalted devotees who have gathered in this meeting. And by knowing little about them, we can start our discussion. If you can just share.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. We welcome you. Mainly this group consists of the devotees who joined in Moscow. We were all together in Moscow, Begovaya temple, like Shri Dayal Nitya Satyasuta temple. And Shri Gaur Prabhu, who introduced you, he was our senior. Like he's also a doctor, and he introduced us. Actually, he took care of us. And many devotees here in this group are from that background only. And presently, Shri Gaur Prabhu he's the person who is taking initiative for making this Japa talk every week from last 5-6 months regularly. He's looking for the speakers, and he's only inspiring force. He was earlier staying in Vrindavan. Presently, he's staying in Bangalore, and he has started preaching there by the instruction of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And many devotees are now from Bangalore also, who are included there. And mostly devotees are from Moscow. This is you might have heard, this is a Prabhupada Youth Forum we had there. At that time, IVF was not there, and His Holiness Japa Goswami Maharaj gave us name Prabhupada Youth Forum at that time. So we were all now getting connected, trying to connect to get again. We are scattered in different places of the world presently. So we are very fortunate to have Prabhuji, Karuna Chandra Prabhu. He's known as a smiling devotee. Everybody knows that he's always smiling. And his way of preaching, people, they get very attracted to when he preaches. And mainly he's looking after Rohini Temple project, collecting donations. And people very easily give donations to him just by his smile and everything. So we are very fortunate to have his very simple devotee. Yesterday only, Prabhuji accepted this invitation in very last moment. I just asked him, okay, can you please do? Then he told, okay, I will do. I'll take the class. So we are very fortunate to have him with us. So let us have his association. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. So it's an honor to be among such wonderful devotees. And I think you will be happy to know we have one devotee from Russia in our temple who has been staying here for few days. So I was trying to learn few Russian words from him. So he has taught me 2-3 words. Maybe I'll share with you and you can correct me if it is sounding fine. So he taught me. So I asked him how to say hello in Russian. So he told me, "Здравствуйте, здравствуйте." So that was hello. Then I asked him how to say goodbye. So he told me, "Благодарю вас." Then I asked him how to say thank you. So he told me, "Большое тебе спасибо." So one he told me this, the other was, Ochen. Let's see my notes. Yeah. Ochen благодарю вас. Goodbye is das vidanya. Goodbye, das vidanya. So I didn't know I'll meet a crew from Russia only very soon. So honored to be among such wonderful devotees. So when yesterday when His Grace Ramnajapu told me to share something about the holy names. Of course I wanted to serve him because he's, I think, devotees from all over the world take help of His Grace Ramnajapu whenever they have some physical problem or some disease they are going through. And Prabhuji has such extending, caring nature. So I thought that I can maybe refuse anyone, but not him, because he's I think, beloved of so many devotees in our community. And the second purpose was that I thought when I will speak on the holy name and I will share few things about the holy name, I think I will also improve in my chanting about the holy names. And that was my experience today morning here in Delhi. I think I found a lot of change in the Japa that I did today morning. So whatever I learned, whatever I have thought to share, I benefited, and I hope that it also comes to your benefit. So Sachinandan Maharaj, he shares one pastime about Prabhupada. He says that when I was in Germany in 1974, Prabhupada had come there on a visit. And we had a grand reception of Srila Prabhupada. And when Prabhupada came to our temple, so it was afternoon time, and Prabhupada was taking a small nap in the afternoon. So Maharaj writes that in his book Living Names about this episode, and Maharaj writes that I was little curious that what would Prabhupada be doing at this hour? What he would be doing behind closed doors. Specifically, by 1974, Srila Prabhupada had gained great popularity. We had temples in different countries, and Prabhupada's mission was spreading like anything. It was all over the world. It was in newspapers. Prabhupada was meeting big politicians, big diplomats, and it was spreading like wildfire. So Prabhupada had become very popular. So Sachinandan Maharaj thought that what would Swamiji be doing when no one is watching him? In front of everyone, you can portray yourself to be maybe an exalted personality, but real test is that what a person actually does when no one is looking at him. when no one is observing him. That is the time when our real nature comes in front. So Maharaj had this sentiment, and Maharaj thought that, okay, I'll secretly go and watch what he's doing. So Prabhupada's room was on the first floor, and Maharaj, because he was very new to Krishna consciousness, and he was, as maybe with every devotee, he always tries to ensure that what he's doing is right and the person who he's following is also genuine. So Maharaj, uh, he shares that how he climbs the wall and jumps onto the balcony just outside the room of where Prabhupada was staying. And Maharaj saw that the balcony, that window of the balcony was open, and Maharaj peeked inside and he saw that Prabhupada was on bed and lying down. What he noticed was that although Prabhupada was lying down on the bed, but he could notice that Prabhupada was softly chanting the holy names. And he could understand that he's chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then what happens is that as you observes and understand that Prabhupada, although he's resting, was still chanting the holy names, which means that rest is just a very short-term rest, but actually he's still in touch with the holy names. So he became very impressed. And then he realizes that all of a sudden, Srila Prabhupada opens his eyes and looks at that window where Maharaj is speaking. So Maharaj immediately ducks himself and jumps onto the ground floor and runs away. And next morning, in his lecture, Prabhupada mentions, not particularly this incident, but Prabhupada says that I have not come here to give some knowledge. I've just come here with a request to make you chant the holy names. And simply by chanting the holy names, perfecting your life and going back to Godhead. That is my sole purpose of coming here. I don't want to share any knowledge or give any instructions. My only purpose of coming here is to inspire you to chant the holy names and make your life perfect. So Maharaj was so touched by that episode that he wanted to actually take shelter of this great Acharya. And he writes that just like one name of Arjuna is Gudakesh, in Bhagavad Gita we read one name of Arjuna is Gudakesh. And Prabhupada in that purport writes that Gudakesh means one who actually never sleeps, because even in his resting time, he's remembering Krishna. Similarly, he says, at that time I realized that Srila Prabhupada is also Gudakesh. But even in his resting time, he never forgets the holy name. So when I read that episode, and we see that only because of Srila Prabhupada, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra has become a household name. So what does Srila Prabhupada say about the holy name? One time, few of Srila Prabhupada disciples went to meet Srila Prabhupada's God, Brother Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, and they asked him. So they saw that Krishna Babaji Maharaj was also always chanting the holy names, and they could observe that not only he's chanting, but he's relishing that taste of holy names. So he could understand that his chanting is pure. So when they met Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj automatically started sharing that how come. So he used to say, Srila Prabhupada as Swamiji. So how did Prabhupada, our A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and other god brothers of Prabhupada who had also been to West, why Prabhupada was successful and they were not? They are the same spiritual master. They were following the same instructions of going to West and preach. They were all followers of Lord Chaitanya. They were chanting the holy names. Both of them was in the sannyas ashram. Both were the most maybe erudite scholars. So they had so much in common. But One was extremely successful in his preaching mission, and one just could not make any dent. What was the difference? So Krishna's Babaji Maharaj shared that why Prabhupada was successful, because he had firm faith in the instructions of his spiritual master and in holy names. So that was actually what made the difference. What Krishna's Babaji Maharaj shared, why our Prabhupada was successful and Prabhupada, other god brothers were not successful. And we have seen it practically. So then I started delving into what Srila Prabhupada wants us, how we should chant, how we should take the benefit of the holy name. So, so as I was searching for Srila Prabhupada's instructions on chanting of the holy names, few instructions that comes repeatedly, which means what Srila Prabhupada is trying to emphasize, those I'll share with you and maybe elaborate onto them. So one was that Prabhupada, in many of its purports in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, many of his letters, he emphasizes on offenseless chanting of the holy names. So in one letter to his disciple Chintamani, Prabhupada writes, by offenselessly chanting, when we associate with Krishna through his holy name, then all inauspicious things are cleared from the heart. So wherever you are, you should always go on chanting, and that in itself will bring all perfection. So one thing that Prabhupada emphasizes on offenseless chanting of the holy names. How? In order to attain the ultimate perfection, how careful we should be in avoiding the 10 offense towards the holy name. And specifically, I was thinking about this point. Even in those 10 offenses, I was feeling few offenses may be more relevant for devotees in our Krishna conscious movement. Like the first offense, because we live in association. So naturally, when two live together, say there is some clash, some misunderstanding. So the first offense to the holy name about blaspheming devotees, maybe that we have to be more careful of. Or second offense of considering the holy name of Krishna same as the holy name of the demigods, maybe not so relevant for devotees who know this philosophy that how Krishna is a supreme personality. Third offense may be what we need to be more careful of, taking the spiritual masters ordinary or taking his instructions ordinary. That maybe we may have to be more mindful of. Then fourth instruction, fourth offense to the holy name was of blaspheming the scriptures that glorify the holy name. That also I was feeling may not be so relevant for us. Fifth, considering the glories of the holy name to be exaggeration. Sixth, to give some mundane interpretation. This also I thought that maybe not be so relevant. Seventh, on the strength of the holy name committing sinful reactions. That may be an important instruction for us, because sometimes I come across these incidences where devotees who have spent a good amount of time in the movement sometimes succumb to sinful practices of breaking regulative principles or engaging in mundane activities. So that may be more we need to be careful of. The eighth offense of using the holy names as a ritualistic activity for some mundane benefit. That maybe we have to be careful of. Ninth, to instruct a faithless person of the holy names. That I think maybe we may be more mindful of. 10th, I think this offense could be important for us. How? Of even after hearing so many glories of the holy name, still being attached to mundane things or not trying to overcome obstacles to our spiritual growth. So Srila Prabhupada emphasized on offenseless chanting. But among these 10 offenses, the 11th offense that we share after the 10 offenses is about being inattentive in chanting the holy names. And as our previous acharyas share that this 11th offense is the root for all other 10 offenses, being not attentive while chanting the holy names. And I found this instruction even in Srila Prabhupada's writings. It's like in one letter to Satsvarup Maharaj, Prabhupada writes that there is no such requirement that japa should be done silently and chanting should be done differently. Loudly or silently, everything is all right. There is no such restriction. Only thing that is required is we should chant very attentively, hearing the vibration very distinctly. So Prabhupada again and again emphasizes, like in another letter to another devotee, he says that they must chant 16 rounds a day minimum with attention, clearly chanting the mantra and listening very carefully. This is the recommended process for purifying the heart in this sinful age of Kali. So another instruction which Prabhupada emphasizes is on attentive chanting of the holy names. And specifically in the book that I was reading, Living Names by Sachandra Maharaj. So Maharaj shares very beautiful insights how we can attentively chant the holy names. And if you can try it out at your respective practices, it helped me, and I feel that it can all help your practice also. How we can chant attentively. So he shares the first step to attentive chanting starts with alignment. And he names the first chapter as Yojan. So he says that it will help devotees chant attentively. First, they align few things in the right place. He says just like a car may have 40,000 different parts. When every part is situated in the right place, the car can function properly. Similarly, before we actually take to chanting, we should do certain things, certain precursory things. Like, so he says that before we start chanting, the first thing that we should align is our body. And he shares that, like Prabhupada, you must have heard Srila Prabhupada speaking in his chanting tape, sit properly. Similarly, so in the same light, he shares that how we can align our body to prepare ourselves for chanting is by sitting very straight. When we sit very erect, naturally our mind becomes attentive. And he shares one purport of Srila Prabhupada, where Prabhupada writes in the third canto of 28th chapter, verse 28, he says that the yoga scripture says that we should sit in a way like Padmasana, where the soles of the feet are between the two thighs. And Prabhupada writes that this posture actually helps one concentrate his mind on the Lord. So when you sit very straight with a very erect spine, naturally mind becomes very attentive. And he shares one story how there was one person who was undergoing depression. So he meets a saintly person and asks his help to overcome depression. So the saintly person, that sadhu, is trying to help him overcome his depression. But every time he comes, the situation remains unchanged. One day when he comes to meet that saintly person, he sees that the saintly person, his shoulders are stooped, his neck is down, his face looks miserable. So when this depressed person comes and meets the saintly person, so he's very surprised. How come Swamiji is like this? And then Swamiji says that this actually works. So I also come in that same posture as you come, and even now, even I am getting depressed. So Maharaj says the story to say that how posture is so important in making ourselves attentive. So the first alignment that is required is sitting in a very straight posture. Second thing he says is that what we should try to do is we should try to put this practice of pronouncing each word very carefully. he says that simply by this attempt of pronouncing each name in this 16 name Mahamantra, we will naturally become attentive. As if we have to participate in a competition of simply pronouncing correctly. So when we chant, let's imagine that our test is how clearly we pronounce. Simply by this attempt of pronouncing each name clearly, we will naturally bring our mind to the holy name and become attentive. So sitting straight and then pronouncing each name very clearly, very distinctly, like Hare, Krishna, and Rama. So not Ram, but Rama, not Krishna, but Krishna, and Hare. So pronouncing each name correctly, that will attract our attention. And once we pronounce correctly, naturally we can hear and we can pay attention. The third thing he says of aligning is aligning our mind. How to align our mind? So he says that if we read and chant, it becomes easier to pay attention. So he says it's called Pratak meditation. But we read the Mahamantra and chant. And second, he says that on the first Hare, you prolong it or chant loudly. When we chant the first Hare loudly, even during the course of chanting of the holy names, if we start thinking of something else, simply by loudly chanting the first Hare, we can bring our mind back to the chanting of holy names. Because he says that if someone has developed taste in the holy name, nothing else is required. No technique is required. Because we naturally get absorbed in something in which we have a taste. But who can have taste? One who's purified. In order to purify ourselves, we have to chant. But if we don't have taste currently, then we have to bring our mind and focus back on the chanting of the holy names. And the last alignment, he says, is alignment of the heart. And he says that first we align our body, then we align our tongue and ears, then we align our mind. And the fourth thing that we align is align our heart. How do we align our heart? He says that the first thing that we learn, and he shares Srila Prabhupada's purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 22, verse number 25. Very beautiful verse, where it says that Tate Krishna bhaje kare guru re sevana, maya jala chute paye Krishna re charana. If someone serves Krishna and the spiritual master, just by doing these two things, he can be freed from the binding net of Maya. In the purport, Prabhupada writes that what is Sambandh Gyan? Sambandh Gyan is when a living entity realizes, when he takes shelter of a spiritual master, when a living entity meets a saintly person, from the saintly person he comes to understand that I am not the body, I am a spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And when he understands that actually my real identification is with Krishna, and whatever I was thinking is all illusion. And when he realizes this and he understands this, then he laments that throughout my life, I paid heed or attention to everyone else except Krishna. Now is the time that I should turn to Krishna. And when you understand this Sambandh Gyan, and you understand that this whole material world is just to make me turn my attention to Krishna. Everything in this material world was made to make me realize that I should turn to Krishna. So preparing the heart means that understanding that my most important duty or my only duty is to revive my relationship with Krishna. And the best way to do that is by coming in touch with his holy name. And finally, to conclude, because time is, I think, around to be completed. And he shares a very beautiful verse from the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 11, verse 26, where Vritasur prays to Krishna how our heart should be aligned. So Vritasur says, Ajata Paksha Iva mataram khaga stanyam yatha varsatara shudartha priyam priyeva vyusitam visanna mano arvindakshati dakshate tvam. Vritasur prays to Krishna. He says, my dear Lord, just like Ajata Paksha Iva Mataram Khava, little birdlets, they wait for their mother to come and bring some food for them in the nest. So they hanker for their mother to come, give them warmth and give them some food. So they're hankering for their mother. Just like Ajata Paksha, birds which have not developed their feathers, they're waiting for their mother who flies and brings food for them because they themselves cannot fetch food. Second example, he says that Stanya Mitha Vatsatara Shudartha, just like a calf hankers to be freed from the rope or where that calf is tied, to be freed and approach his mother and suck the milk from the other of the mother. Just like the calf hankers to go and meet with his mother and bring the nectarian milk from the others of the mother. And the third example says, just like a wife whose husband has been far away from home longs for her husband to come and spend some time with her. So, just like these three different situations tell us how there is a feeling of separation, there's a feel of hankering. In the same way, Mano Arvind Dakshati Dakshate Tvam, he says that, my dear Lord, my mind is hankering to be in your association, to be in your company. So when we understand this Sambandh Gyan and prepare our heart, then we naturally try to take shelter of the holy name. Then for us, chanting of the holy name is the be all, the end all, nothing else that we require. So if we take care of these things, then we can chant with attention, hear with attention, purify ourselves, and then go back home, back to God. Few things that I thought I could share in this time that I was allotted mercifully by all of you. So hopefully I could serve you and I could share something that comes to your use and you also benefit from the ultimate religious principle in this age of uh, Kali Yuga, the chanting of the holy names. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. It was really very helpful the way you said that we have to prepare ourselves and qualify ourselves to be chanting offenselessly, and of all the offenses, kind of root is the inattention, and how you nicely put forward that the basis on which we can be more attentive is to align our body, mind, and heart. Really thankful to you. I just want to open the floor if anyone has any question or comment for Prabhuji. So,
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you said that you should always sit attentively while chanting, but there are many cases people may not feel well or maybe due to some ill health, they're not able to sit attentively. So, but in the mind and the heart, they want to chant. So, is that okay, Prabhu, that we try to sit in a position comfortably on a chair or maybe on a bed and then start chanting, Prabhu?
So, if you can't sit down, that's fine. Even if you sit on a chair, but we should try to keep our back straight. So even while in a chair, if you use a chair, that's not a problem. But if we recline in the chair, that may be a problem. Because when we recline in a chair, there's a chance of us to go in a comfort zone and maybe uh, it is easy for us to become little relaxed and maybe inattentive. But even if we sit in a chair, or we use a cushion or sit in a bed, simply by keeping our back very straight, our head very straight, our neck very straight, then naturally that posture forces us to be in attention. The whole point is to make ourselves attentive towards the practice that we are imbibing of chanting the holy names. So the best if we can sit down, but due to health, if we can't sit down, even if you use a chair or use a cushion, but let's not put our back on the reclining chair. Let's keep our back and neck very straight.
Got it.
If that can be done, it will help us be attentive to our chanting. Simply by this posture, you will realize there will be a very big difference in your chanting. Like many devotees have this issue or a concern that when they start chanting, they fall asleep. Because one of the major reasons of falling asleep is that the posture is in a very comfortable situation. And when they chant, because they don't have taste in chanting of the holy names, very soon mind diverts away. And because situated in a very comfortable position, it's so easy for them to doze off. But if you sit in a very erect position, naturally your mind will remain in an alert position. So as if Maharaj says that if you tie your nose in your neck and someone is pulling that rope, so naturally you imagine yourself that your neck is tied in the nose of rope and the rope is being pulled from up. So your neck, your head and the back will become in one line, become very straight. Then there's a chance that you can pay full attention and you will not fall asleep. And I have this experience, honest experience with many devotees who try this exercise simply by sitting very straight, very erect. There, even for many years, this habit of falling asleep in chanting vanished. They may be distracted in chanting, but they will not fall asleep. And it helped them even become attentive in holy names. My honest request to try this out.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So maybe in the olden days, they used to tie the choti to the top roof so that you sit straight and steady. So that's in ashram or in the, you used to tie the choti to the roof so that you sit straight and steady.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There is a question on the chat by Sudha Mataji. She's asking, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I want to know why silent chanting is okay if we need to hear each syllable clearly.
So silent chanting is not okay. Did I say that silent chanting is okay?
Like, I think so. It was that you can speak louder or slow.
So silent chanting means when we are chanting in the mind, we're not speaking. But the second alignment that I was mentioning was to actually speak each name of the mantra, of the whole mantra, very clearly. I was mentioning this. Silent chanting means that you're not speaking externally, you're chanting in the mind. That is not what we're supposed to do when we're chanting the 16 rounds. Of course, that we can do throughout the day. But the prescribed number of 16 rounds that we have to do is that we have to speak preferably loudly. Bhakti Sanmar says we should chant loudly, but it may disturb other chanters. So we should chant loud enough for us to hear, and along with chanting loudly, because loud chanting will also make us attentive, and very clear chanting, very distinct chanting will also make us attentive. So just try this, as if you'll be judged by how clearly you pronounce each name. So simply make this attempt of pronouncing each name in the mantra very clearly. Simply by doing the exercise, you will see, you will naturally become attentive in the chanting, and you will hear it also. Because when you're chanting clearly, you're hearing it also. So second alignment is alignment of the tongue and the ears. So to speak verbally, chant verbally, and hear it. The third was of the mind, and the fourth was of the heart.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thanks. That clarifies that.
Thank you.
I just want to check if there's any last question for Prabhuji. Okay. So here I want to thank Prabhuji. Thanks a lot for your time. Sunday is very busy day for all the preachers, but you have taken time. Thanks Ramraj Prabhu for inspiring Prabhuji to be with us. Really thankful to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. An honor and privilege to be amongst all of you and able to serve. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Karuna Chandra Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. And whenever you happen to be in Delhi, we'll be very happy to host you in Punjabi Bhakt Temple. Please visit us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
you.
Prabhupada.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.